Hello, I'm Kathryn Troutman. I'm the author and the publisher of this new book, Stars Are Lined Up for Military Spouses. And it's also a curriculum that's part of our 10 Steps to a Federal Job Certification Program. And this is just a little 30-minute orientation webinar for you to learn about the Stars Are Lined Up curriculum for the spouses. And I'm going to be talking here with Bobbi Rossiter about the curriculum. Hey, Bobbi, go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
Hey, everyone. I am Bobbi Rossiter, as Kathryn said. I am a military spouse myself. Right now, I'm in Camp Pendleton, so we'll see where the military sends us next time around.
So how long have you been looking for a federal job, Bobbi?
My federal job search started back in about 2015. We've PCS since, and now that I've finished my master's, I'm back into looking for a federal job. So that just started this summer, so not too long right now.
So you're walking the talk, right?
I am really walking that talk right now.
I know you are. So that's really cool. Since you're doing everything that we're going to be teaching in this curriculum yourself, that adds a lot to your ability to talk about Program S and federal jobs and everything that we're going to cover here. So thanks very much for coming in on the program with us. So this curriculum is about federal jobs for military spouses, and this is the first ever curriculum and first ever book written specifically for federal jobs and spouses. So I'm very pleased to do this. I was a military spouse myself a long, long time ago, just for 1 year. So I feel the passion very clearly, as well as all my federal employment knowledge and helping veterans. So it comes from many directions here. So here we go. So here we are, Bobbi and Kathryn. We are both certified federal job search trainers. And if you do take the program, you're going to be licensed to teach this curriculum for 3 years. So those are your designations. There's me and Bobbi. We were teaching our class in California. She wore pink to match the book. That was so cool. That is a good color on you, too. I like it. So to start out, I want to show you a few pictures. Bobbi and I have been teaching the curriculum to spouses to get this rolled out. And this is a class that I taught on October 13 at Schofield Barracks. We had a great crowd. Oh, my gosh, they were so enthusiastic, and we were so lucky. We had actually the PPP-S HRO director for Hawaii in the classroom and one of her associates. So it was incredible, and she did not speak up, and I did not identify her during the class, but afterwards we did a debriefing, and this is the one tip that they did recommend. When the spouse goes to the PPP meeting in person with HRO, please get a babysitter before you come, because the meeting is 2 hours, and the PPP director asked for that. So this was a great class, and I'll bet you anything. Oh, they were shaking their head in the back of the room saying, oh, no, all these spouses are going to come and get registered now. Yes, they were, because it was a great class. And then this is another class I taught at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Same thing, very enthusiastic there. I don't know how many federal jobs there really are at Fort Huachuca, but you know, when they take these classes, it's not just for that base, but it's for future bases where they might be stationed. So they take it with them, and this is a really big crowd. And then, I went the wrong way. So this is another one that Bobbi came in for this. We co-trained at Henderson Hall, Fort Myers, which is right there at Arlington Cemetery, and they were amazed at the content that they learned that day. In fact, one of them asked, how long has this Executive Order 13473 been around? Right, Bobbi?
Yeah, and they were absolutely floored because they had not heard about it despite it being around for ages.
I know, and the thing is, at Fort Myers, Arlington, Virginia, that is one of the, I think it is the largest military base for federal jobs in all of the federal job military bases. So I am so glad we were invited to teach there, and I hope that they will keep teaching that ACS office there. I hope that they will, because there was huge interest and no information until we got there. And this is a class that Bobbi taught. How did that go for you, Bobbi?
So this one was with a couple of the spouses from Wounded Warrior Battalion, and it was definitely an interesting experience. The spouses, their needs varied because either they were looking to be the only provider in the house because their service member was injured severely, or they were also looking for a career that would complement the fact that their service member would probably be transitioning out of the military, but they wanted to get something while they were here. So this was a very interesting class.
Do you think any of them were going to actually go forward and apply for federal jobs? Did it seem like it?
Yeah, I think it was about 50-50.
Yeah. Well, you know, not everybody is ready at the moment to go federal, to dive into the whole process because it's such a big deal. So I'm glad you did that. That was great. And this is a picture of a class that I taught yesterday. So this is fresh in my mind. Look at the little boy sleeping there. He fell asleep around 30 minutes into my class. And interesting is that next door, behind that really flimsy wall there, were 200 soldiers in a great big room, and they were having a talent show. So this was one of my more interesting, well, no, the most interesting class I ever taught. And there were a total of 10 children there. Now, my point of contact, who is this lady back here, did a good job because she had a couple of soldiers come to the back of the room and brought toys and played with the kids, and the kids were not a problem at all. So what I learned in teaching this class is that these spouses knew nothing about federal employment, the executive order, or PPP. There was zero knowledge. And but one young lady right here, she had been applying for a federal job, so that was kind of good. So I learned a little bit about their needs and interests, and I'm so glad that I did it. I think 5 or 6 of the people in the room were serious and were interested. This guy here only wants to work with the Department of Interior, so he learned about the federal resume. He does not want a DOD job, so that was okay. So that was a really interesting class with the children. And it was not a problem with the kids because they had help there. So when we teach the classes, we always ask, how many of you have heard of this executive order for military spouses? And pretty much zero have heard of it in my class yesterday, and pretty much zero, right, Bobbi?
Yeah, that's kind of the trend that I've noticed, is that whenever I ask them about the order, nobody really knows about the order. So this is for you to share.
Yeah, that's right.
Not about this order.
This is Train the Trainer material for military spouses. And the 2-year limitation that used to be there is gone now, so that makes it usable and much better. The 13473 is an executive order created to help military spouses get a federal job. And these are the spouses that can take advantage of it. Those who travel on PCS orders, spouses of service members who have 100% disability, or spouses of service members who are killed on active duty. And they deserve some extra help and consideration to get one of the best jobs in America. So I really think this is good content. So 2 ways the spouses can use it. They can use it to go on PPP-S, which this curriculum does cover, and they can use it to apply for federal jobs as a federal employee, not a U.S. citizen. And that's a really big deal, a big difference there, that they can apply as a federal employee instead of a U.S. citizen. So that's very not well known at all. And the reason this is so good is that federal employee announcements don't apply veterans preference like they do with the U.S. citizen announcements. So this is a big deal. And where are the civilian jobs? So here's a chart that shows the largest military bases in the U.S., Fort Hood, Camp Pendleton. And so the larger the base, the more opportunity there would be for a spouse to land a federal job because there are more jobs. So if you're stationed at a base that's really large, it should be better in terms of applying for a federal job. So Bobbi's trying at Camp Pendleton, and it's really challenging. You have to be very determined, right, Bobbi?
Yes, and accept the fact that there will be ups and downs, but you remain hopeful and you keep trying for it.
That's right. You've got to keep trying. So, and you've got to be patient and just keep at it and make your resume better and all that. So here's some facts about federal employment that spouses don't know. And this is just some basic information to encourage them to try federal, because we do know that USA Jobs and PPP is really complicated and requires a lot of determination. This is the main website for federal jobs, and this is a real basic fact, but spouses that are going to come to your classes don't know all of this. The pay scale is right posted so you can see what the salary is for the GS level. The benefits are really good for federal jobs: 26 days of leave, walking in the door, leave and sick, 10 paid holidays, telework, family-friendly worker environment. So, you know, we have to kind of sell the government while we're doing this, right, Bobbi? Right?
I'm sold.
Yeah. You have to be sold, and you have to be thinking all the time that I need this job for the retirement and for the days off and family-friendly and all this, because if you don't think about the benefits and all, you're going to get discouraged and get a job at Starbucks and say, forget it, you know.
And you think about it, like the benefits there, they really complement the military lifestyle. So that's one of the huge things for me.
Oh, absolutely. And you might have, you know, 15 more years or 10 or something to travel around different places and try it again. And Bobbi, wouldn't it be great to have your own second career after your husband is gone?
Absolutely. Yes, I am picturing that actually.
Yeah, I'm featuring that also. Right, you got to think about this. Have that picture at the end of the line. The benefits are very good. The government is so flexible for mothers who have to run out and take care of a child, or education week or something, and elder care, everything. So it's much better than private sector or small business. Retirement is great. They add to the retirement. They've got insurance if you need it, if down the line, if you're not on your spouse's insurance. Now, one of the things that the spouses need to know, that the resume has to match government. So this class standard is something that we talk about. It's a little bit advanced, but if they don't know about this, then the resume may not match a federal position, and that's critical. Basic fact, the federal resume is 3 to 5 pages long. Most people don't know that. The spouses certainly don't know that it's longer, more detailed. And this is the format that we recommend right here, outline format. There's 5 case studies in the book. One of them is Bobbi's. We're going to show it to you. And the book is great. Of course, I would say that, but it is actually really good. I used the book yesterday with my class because they couldn't hear me since it was so noisy with the talent show next door. I had to stand right in front of them, like 12 inches, and they looked at the book and looked at the samples because I couldn't stand up front and talk. They couldn't hear me. Oh, I had to do every trick in the book. So that's the outline format, and small paragraphs, all caps. What to include in the resume we go into because that's important. And then PPP-S, which is not USA Jobs, and it's different. And Bobbi's going to take you through some of these slides, and we're just going to do a few just to give you an orientation of this curriculum and the importance of all of this for your spouse community.
So sometimes you might hear them refer to Program S. It's the same thing as the Priority Placement Program for spouses. It's just a whole lot easier to say Program S. So PPP-S and Program S are the same thing. All right. So this is, as Kathryn mentioned, this is one of the 2 ways that you can use EO 13473. Once this was signed by President Bush and enacted back in 2011? 8. 8.
Yeah, 2008, a long time ago.
My time is off so much. 2017 is done. But yeah, back when this was signed, it was a beautiful thing for military spouses because it allowed us to get in and use some of the privileges of the Priority Placement Program. So what Kathryn and I did was we started on this grand adventure to figure out how to teach spouses about this. If you look in the book, you'll see that one of the positions that I had was as a family readiness officer, and that pretty much meant that I was a resource person. But this was a resource that I didn't know a whole lot about. And so if the resource person didn't know about it, then chances are pretty great that the spouses weren't knowledgeable either. So Kathryn and I set out to find a way to explain this in a way that spouses could understand. And boy, I have to tell you, it was quite a constellation that we waded through. There were so many times that if I were doing this just as a spouse, I would have stopped. But we went through and came up with these 10 stars, which I like the number 10, by the way. It's nice and round and even just like beautiful. But we came up with these 10 stars that we think do a pretty good job of guiding spouses through the process. We're not going to talk about all of them right here. You can have that in the full curriculum, but we'll just go through a couple of them so you can kind of understand the importance of them and get a basic knowledge of how they apply for spouses who are hoping to land a federal job. Mm-hmm. One quick thing, the eligibility, when they signed this order initially, it was a 2-year limit. That has since been lifted, because honestly the 2 years wasn't quite enough for spouses to use it. In fact, when we were going through the program, my eligibility ended just about the time that I got that match email, so it wasn't enough time. But now that it's gone, that's a whole lot better for spouses because you can use it for the entire duration of the tour, which is amazing. Yeah. Especially if you plan on doing some school when you get to your duty station. So the first star, the first thing that we have you do is figure out, first of all, if you actually qualify. Because if you don't, then it's kind of pointless for you, right? So those who qualify, according to the order, are active duty spouses. So you have to be on the orders of your service member, and how that happens, it varies a little bit, but pretty much the orders for the move have to include the spouse in there. You have to be married before the reporting date at the new duty station, and you have to actually be eligible for the positions that you're going to apply for. They're not giving you a job. You have to actually be qualified for what you're applying for. Right. Now, the thing with Program S is that it's for DoD jobs only. And it's for jobs that are within the continental United States and its territories. So this won't work for you if you go overseas, or if you're looking at any other agency. You're pretty much just looking DoD and in the U.S. As Kathryn mentioned, this is one of the positions where it's for federal employees to apply for. Sorry, not positions. This is it falls under federal employees, and so veterans preference will not apply. And I always take a moment to thank my veterans for their service. But I'm doing a little happy dance right now because this is as level a playing field as spouses will get for federal jobs. So, veterans preference doesn't apply right here. Thank you for your service, vets. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for spouses. But once you figure out that you are actually eligible, then that brings you to Star 2, which is where you write the federal resume. Now, this is not something that you want to take lightly. This is pretty much setting the foundation for how you're going to operate within Program S. And so this is a lot of work, and spouses need to understand that this is a lot of work to make sure that they're presenting themselves in a way that can help them to get that job. And this is why you have to actually be qualified for what it is that you're hoping to go for. The way it works is the HRO will take a look at your resume and assign you some option codes. If you don't know what option codes are, don't worry about it. Take the course and you'll find out some more. But those option codes are key because the announcements that are put into the system also use option codes. And once your option codes match the option codes for the announcement, that's how you get your match emails, and that's how you enter into that smaller pool of applicants and have a better shot of landing a federal job. So make sure you're doing due diligence on writing that resume, and if you're not satisfied with it, make sure that you go back and work on it some more. There's a link right there where you can see the option codes. They're pulled from the Priority Placement Program Handbook. So you can look that up on your own, but there's a link to it right there. Hey, that's us again, Kathryn.
Yeah, there we are.
that was a good day. That was a great class. We were training some trainers at La Jolla over at UCSD, it was awesome. So yeah, that's just a little bit about my story. But yeah, so Kathryn and I, when we went in and we did the first go at this, we weren't quite satisfied with the registration that we got because we knew that there were some skills that weren't captured. So this is what they gave to us. And the thing that I want you to pay attention to here, as a spouse using Program F, you have to have a registration that looks something like this or you're not in the program. I remember when I did this with Kathryn, I showed her my email saying, yeah, we got your stuff. And she was like, Bobbi, that's not your registration. Like, oh, okay. But yeah, unless you have something like this, you're not registered. This is going to tell you a lot of information right here in this one little slide. It tells you the GS series that you're eligible for. It tells you the high and the low within that series, the levels that you can apply for. And it also shows you the option codes, which are essentially the three-letter codes that talk about the skills that you have that are relevant within that job series. So yeah, so this is a very important piece of paper. Make sure that you have one, otherwise you're not in there. This snapshot right here just kind of shows you a little bit of the option codes. So you'll see the three-letter codes, for example, the FSP, which is the Family Support Services. There are a couple of things that you can do when you're looking at option codes to figure out how it works. One of them is to, just kind of start off looking at the option codes and figure out, what skills you actually have, and then narrow your focus down to a couple of theories and write those into your resume. So there's a tip for you that you didn't even have to pay for. And as Kathryn mentioned, my resume, a version of it is in the book, the before and the after. I tell you, the before really still makes me cringe. Kathryn hired me with that resume.
I had a vision.
She had a vision. She interviewed me on a Monday, and I started the next Tuesday, and it was a beautiful thing. But yeah, make sure that as a spouse, the paragraph right here, the spouse reference paragraph, include that on your resume. You can practically use that verbatim. Just change out the branch of service, and also put up on there that you're a military spouse up at the top when you have your identifying information up there. So we're going to do one more star, but before we do that, just to let you know, the option codes that they're assigning you, they're not just pulling that from nowhere. They're actually looking in your resume to see where those knowledge, skills, and abilities are. So make sure that you really are paying attention to what you're putting in that resume, because that's going to play a role in what you're assigned. And by the way, when you're working on the resume, I have to talk about this part because this is like my absolute favorite part in the entire book. Kathryn went through and she identified some of the most common theories that spouses go for, and she took the keywords for those theories. And that's just like my absolute favorite part in the whole book, the fact that the keywords are there. In fact, when I was redoing my resume this past summer, because I finished my degree, I went here. I started here. So this part in the book is just amazing. It's huge. It's like my favorite part. Just, yeah. Anywho. I get very excited about this part.
Oh, wow, good.
So yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about star 3, and that'll be all I'll talk about in this part. But you have to have a couple of documents if you're going to be using Program S. We mentioned that you have to be married. Well, you also have to include your marriage certificate to show proof that you're married. Along with that, you need your federal resume, and you also need a copy of the orders showing that you're actually authorized for this move. So make sure you have those. A couple of other things that you might want to include. If you're a prior federal employee, then make sure you include your SF-50, which is a document that you would have and you'd know about if you were a prior federal employee. If not, though, just make sure you have those basic 3 documents: the resume, the certificate, the marriage certificate, and the orders.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bobbi, for all the way taking us up to star 3. I didn't know you liked the keywords so much. That's good.
It's my absolute favorite. Oh, and Kathryn, I forgot to tell you. So, so with the resume that I updated, I actually got a match email. So this actually works, guys. I got a match email a couple weeks ago, and I sent in my resume. So you can do this. I believe in you. You can do this. Spouses, the stars are lined up for you. I believe in you.
Well, Jennifer, who's in the book too, she just got hired. She got her offer finally about a week ago. So
nice.
It worked for her, and I think that her offer was on actually the second match she got. It just took a while to get through a couple months to get through all the steps of it. So in final statement here, the certification program has a couple of curriculum. The big curriculum is 10 Steps to a Federal Job. But now that this book is done, the STARS book is only published as of July of this year, 2017. So this is brand new, and we really, really want to roll it out and have you teach the STARS are lined up for military spouses on USA Jobs and PPP-S or Program S. And I know it's harder to get the spouses to come in with the kids, but I hope that you'll do it because there's just not a lot of information out there for spouses in federal jobs, and the federal jobs are really good. Some spouses will want to do it, and others will not, and that's fine, but a few might choose to go federal, like Bobbi and Jennifer and the other people that are in the book. There's 5 real case studies in the book of real people who are actually doing this. And Carrie Ann was hired. She's in the book. Jennifer's now hired. Bobbi's still looking. So, you know, we've got a great track record. And so if you have any other questions, you can write to me or talk about the curriculum. We teach the stars are lined up in the 3-day program and in the 7-part webinar. And then you can take the curriculum and teach it at your base. And I think it can be done in 90 minutes. Don't you think, Bobbi? Is 90 minutes okay?
Oh, yeah. 90 minutes is doable. I will tell you, though, you can teach the curriculum in 90 minutes, but give yourself a couple more minutes because the spouses will have questions. The 2 times that I've done it with the spouses, they've had lots of questions afterwards. Yeah. So budget at least about 2 hours, but you can definitely go through the curriculum in 90 minutes.
Yeah, and some people want to ask specific questions. Like yesterday, a young lady came up to me and she said, I've been working as a waitress because I don't know what else to do. I only have 20 credit hours in college and I can't afford to go to college. So I said, well, can you type? I can use a computer. And she said, yeah. I said, well, if you can type 40 words a minute, you can apply for administrative jobs in the government and you don't need to have a degree for those jobs. So you could just do a search for administrative jobs and maybe GS4 or 5 and see if those jobs come up and if they look good to you, because you would qualify for those jobs with your computer skills, and then you could maybe stop the waitressing and do an admin position, and then it could lead to more for you in the federal government. And she was really, really glad to hear it. One more story, another young lady in the class said that she's currently working as a bagger at the grocery store, and she didn't have any idea that she could apply for a federal job. But her job before the grocery store was being a receptionist in a veterinary clinic, and that's where she was doing a lot of scheduling and record keeping and databases and customer services and computer skills, and she could apply to the same positions, administrative positions, probably at a GS5 level, which is, you know, something that could grow with her when she goes to her next place. 2 other people had degrees, and they could look for other positions. So you're right, the spouses will want to talk a little bit about their particular background and what they're interested in, and then you can steer them so they can search and feel better about searching on USA Jobs for the positions. So thanks again, Bobbi, for co-teaching with me here, and I hope that you will sign up for our program and teach us curriculum wherever you are. Military spouses need our help, and they can have a good career too. If they want to do the work behind it, which it is, right, Bobbi?
Yes, it is. It is definitely a lot of work, but it is work that is worth it.
It will be worth it. So thanks, everybody, and I'll see you in a class in 2018. Thanks.